Morning, everyone. Jim Clarke here at the Synchronicity Sanctuary in Central Virginia to share another Illusion to Truth contemplation with you today. And these are contemplations that I have used for many years here at the sanctuary in my own meditation and holistic lifestyle experience, which has brought me to the states that I experience today, the outcome of using such tools to bring yourself to yourself speaks for itself. So, the contemplation I want to share with you today is the source of all existence exists within existence. There is no separation. There is no way to escape the truth of who you are, even if you try to stay in your mind and keep accumulating stories and theories. The primary intention in consciousness is to fully be itself, and that includes you. There is only one. That was a phrase that my teacher used constantly to drive home the point that even though we experience ourselves as a human being that is separate from other human beings and the world around us, the separation is illusion. It's a game. It's a pretense. The truth is that we are the same consciousness that all and everything is. The world outside of what seems to be yourself is the same consciousness that you are within yourself. The only difference is that you are a unique expression of consciousness having the experience that you're supposed to be having. And that experience is part of your own evolution, which simply means that you're evolving towards the truth of who you are. We began life without a clue. We can't even think. We have no idea who we are, how we got here, anything. And then as we grow, we develop a sense of who we are. We get definitions of who we are. We learn how to speak, we learn how to interact, and the kinds of experiences that we have, especially at a young age, determine how we're going to experience our ego, which is what we're identified with in our attempts to belong and to survive in the world that we find ourselves in. And as we go through life operating from this perspective, this illusory perspective, here and there moments come where you will suddenly find something will trigger a momentary experience where you will have a relaxed state of being and you'll start to feel more and more elevated and blissful, and then maybe it will go away for a while and you'll have no clue about what that is, but what that is your own rhythms, your own biorhythms and other rhythms that help make you more sensitive to the truth of who you are. And when you're in those moments, even if you're not meditating, you're more likely to get closer to that truth, that love that you are. And when that happens, more endorphins start to come into your system and you get opiated and you get high, but a kind of a high that keeps you alert and present and accepting whoever and whatever is going on around you. So, and then when you do meditate, when you start to meditate, because you're drawn to such things at some stage in your evolution, and this is where you kind of cross a bridge. You go from being totally involved with your ego and identified and trying to make that the be all and end all of life to searching for more. You want more, you're ready for more, and you're kind of done with the illusory experiences that you've had of who you are. And when that comes, then openings happen. And it's like my teacher used to say, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And that teacher could be a he, a she, or an experience. And that opens you up to possibilities and the experience of who you are at some level that goes beyond your mind, it goes beyond your physicality, And in those moments, you get really flooded with endorphins. You get very, very opiated and very high and very loving. Your heart opens, and in those states, what was separate from you is not as separate from you. You still see yourself as a human being, and you see whatever environment you're in, you still see and experience it that way, but there is a another you having the experience that's not embodied, it's not physical, but it's embodied in the physicality. And then you experience yourself at a new level, and it's a level that is accepting and loving and very, very present to everything. So, and in those moments, you validate that there is more, and you get a taste of what that more is, and that pulls you closer and closer to choosing to live differently, to live a different lifestyle instead of being mesmerized and totally involved with the external world. You want to start to explore the internal world of yourself. And when that happens, then that's when the teacher becomes more and more apparent in your life. And you will find a way to start meditating and to change your lifestyle so that that supports the experiences that you're having, and that the opiation, the expanded states of awareness that you have, you'll find a way to keep that going. You'll want to keep that going because it's so much better than what you experienced before in life when you were imbalanced to the negative polarity, to the contraction, to the physicality, apparent physicality, and separateness of who you are as an ego. The experience is so good that you just want to have it going all the time. So this is what I experienced when I had my awakening, and suddenly I realized that there was a lot more to life than I'd ever realized before. And I immediately started to change my lifestyle. I started to meditate. I changed my diet. I started to exercise every day because I just felt more alive. And I avoided toxins. I avoided anything that would contract me into a negative state. I mean, sure, they still happen, but that's not a constant. Whereas prior to an awakening experience or a moment where you expand and you become aware that there is more to you than what you ever thought, you have no idea. You don't have that experience to compare to elevated states of existence, of being who you truly are. But once you get a taste of that, once you have that in you, that memory outweighs all others. To this day, I remember details of those experiences, whereas everything else in those distant, long distant times in my life may have faded away because they don't have any importance anymore. They don't mean anything anymore. They only mean something in the terms that they helped to bring me to the point where I was ready for the experiences that I had and continue to have, only because I have been evolving to where I am now, and that is following the primary intention in consciousness, which is actually running the show. The choices we think we have are more illusion. We do have some choices, but not that many. And the reason for that is because who we really are is who is here, and we're here for a specific experience, to forget who we are, to live as who we are not, so that we can rediscover ourselves. And in that process, we magnify the bliss of who we are. In that magnification, we are fulfilling the primary intention of consciousness to fully be what it is. And in that moment, we are contributing to the ongoing experience of fulfilling that primary intention. Pretty simple, but not so easy to get a grasp on until you begin to bring enough balance to yourself for the sake of yourself. And that comes unexpectedly sometimes. Sometimes it's It's something that you are born with, depending on where you are in your own evolution towards from I am not to I am, and that's what the way it is. Many many people that I've run into over the years have had similar experiences that I have had, where they began life without a clue and kind of were moved in very various ways to a point in their lives where the normal unconscious lifestyle and awareness that they were accustomed to, and that was the definition, living definition of who they were somewhat insufficient, and they were open to something more, and they wanted something more, and that desire through them brought about the experiences or the people and the circumstances to help them to grow into that, the fulfillment of that desire, because that desire is the consciousness that you are saying, I'm ready to take another step towards completing this process so that I can fulfill the primary intention that's living through me, through this expression, through this particular way of experiencing the illusion that was created for this purpose. And so creation process is such that it is renewing itself so much, so many times in every moment, many, many, many thousands of times per second, that it can recreate your experience in such a way that you are moving in the directions that you need to move into and having the experiences that you need to have to fulfill this primary intention. Now, some of that experience in the very beginning of this game, this creation game, are not very pleasant. In fact, they can be very terrible experiences, because this is what moves you more and more towards the desire to have and find and create something better. And when you're fulfilled in those experiences, the negative experiences, the suffering that you go through in many lives, is just to show it's not real, because the human being, the body, is just an illusion. It's really more energy than anything else, and it came into existence for a purpose, and it will go out of existence for a purpose. But you, who live within and without this body, are still there. There's no one that died. There was no one that was born. You were simply having an experience for the sake of fulfilling that primary intention, so that you could magnify your own bliss, and in that process magnify the bliss of consciousness itself, which is what it continually wishes to do, because that is its primary nature. And so that's what I wanted to share with you today. It's a understanding that has come about through years of practice and contemplation such as this, and experiences relevant to those contemplations that validate the statement, there is only one blissful consciousness, and you're it. So at first, when I heard these, I know way back in many years ago when I first became a member of Synchronicity Sanctuary and was meditating daily, and I was going through my own process of evolving past what were still bits and pieces of my ego, there was challenges in that, but there was also so many validating experiences that kept me going. And that's why I'm still here today doing what I'm doing here, to share a little bit about that experience in the hopes that it might inspire someone to maintain their own meditation and their holistic lifestyle, or to begin one. So I hope that this has helped somebody out there to in that way, and that might encourage you to keep on going in that direction. But in fact, of course, you really have little choice in the matter, because you are consciousness, and you're going to fulfill the primary intention that is being experienced and processed through you. So that's it for today. I'll be back next week to share another contemplation with you. And until then, I hope you are blissful and peaceful and loving and accepting of yourself and the world you find yourself in. Thank you.